Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to pop in today to talk about a very taboo subject, and that is reading slumps. If you don't know what a reading slump is, which I have no idea how you wouldn't by this point, but if you've never heard of the term reading slump, basically it just means when you get burnt out from reading, or you're just not in the mood for reading. You have all these plans, you have all these books you want to read, your TBR is endless, but you just can't get the energy to pick up a book to save your life. And you start a book, you read 2 pages, and then you just put it down and you find something else to do because you just can't get into it. That would be a reading slump. That happens to all of us. That happens to me all the time. It's usually when, for me, it's usually when I have too grand of reading goals and I feel the need to speed read so much and cram a whole bunch of reading in, and then I burn myself out. So in that vein, a lot of people see reading slumps as something negative. And with the social media aspect of reading and book talk, as it were, a lot of people will be super upset when they're in a reading slump. And it's, oh no, I'm in a reading slump. Or, come do things to get me out of my reading slump, vlogging, getting out of my reading slump, like all those types of videos, like you've seen those around about get me out of my reading slump, right? But what if, crazy concept, what if you just stayed there? What if you sat in it? What if you enjoyed it for a second or two, or months or two, and just sat with your reading slump? And what could you discover in it? And I really do feel that a reading slump doesn't have to be negative. And I just feel like we're all pressuring each other and putting pressure on ourselves to read the next book, read the next thing, get that review out, get the, do that thing. And it's reading as a performance and not reading as a personal hobby or something that you actually enjoy doing. If there's any point that you pick up a book and you would literally dread reading it or would rather be doing anything else, put it down. Don't read it. DNF it. If it's bad, don't suffer. I get that there's a point of, you get past a point where you're like, well, now I just have to see how it ends on a bad book. But if it's in the beginning, even if you're 2 pages from the end still, just put it down. Don't finish it. I hate certain books, and I spitefully, at least when I was in high school, I used to do this a lot. I would read the entire book except the last 2 pages, just to spite the author, which makes no sense because they didn't know I was doing that, but in my mind, it made me feel good. Like, no, I didn't read your entire book because I hated it. So unless it's for school, obviously, I'm sorry, we all have to suffer through our academic reads. But if it's you trying to read for a hobby, who gives a crap about a reading slump? Read 1 book every 3 months. Hell, read 1 book every year. As long as you enjoyed the process, that's all that matters. And I just wanted to kind of discuss that. What can you discover of yourself within a reading slump? So I've been in a reading slump for, I don't know, maybe the past month-ish. And I had this really grand goal this year to read 100 books. And I'm realizing that that's probably not going to happen. But that's okay, because I truly just want to enjoy my reading. And I fell quite behind in my reading slump because 100 books a year for me was averaging around 6 books a month. And that was almost doubling what I usually read every month. And that's just not quite sustainable for me yet. I would love to get there one day, but just with life and work and things, it just isn't going to happen for me this year, I don't think. But who knows? Maybe I'll have some free time and I can cram some books in, but I'm not positive on that. But that's okay. I'm still enjoying what I'm reading. I fell into a reading slump because I put so much pressure on reading so many books each month that I kind of burnt out. And I have only read, I think, what did I read last month? 3 books last month. So I went back to like my normal reading speed. And I think that's just where I'm comfortable. And when I fall where I'm comfortable, I notice that I just engage with the books more. I read Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy, and I really felt like I was able to digest that book in a way that I haven't in a minute with books. I didn't feel like I was just reading it as a chore. And although that book is not my favorite and I didn't enjoy it very much, I definitely felt like it kind of, I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this now. And then the book that really got me out of my reading slump was I read Lena Dunham's memoir. And I know this is controversial to say on the internet, but I really do enjoy Lena Dunham. I enjoy her artistry. I admire how she's kind of shameless in a way, and shameless in her art. And that's something that I could only ever dream of being like, and I just really admire that personality trait. Say what you will about past controversies about her, I enjoy her writing. I feel like she's just very good at character study. Her show Girls was one of my favorite shows in my senior year of high school, and I still rewatch it every year. And yeah, it might have its flaws and it might not hold up against the test of time, but it's just painfully relatable. And I just feel like every year that I get older, I still relate to one of the characters. And I feel like that is talented writing. You have to really know people, and to have each character have their own identity is something that I really admire. Good writing really brought me out of my reading slump, and I think that that is why slumps can be good. And I don't even like to call it a slump, honestly. I much prefer reading break, or, you know, I'm taking my time to discover other hobbies. I love to knit. I love to crochet. I love any sort of crafty thing. I've been learning how to quilt. I made a quilted tote bag. I made a quilted pouch with a zipper. Trying to sew zippers as a beginner, it's unbelievably hard. So in my reading slump, I have discovered other hobbies and I have honed my other skills, and I feel like that is so beneficial. You can't focus in all on one thing. You're so multifaceted. You have to give yourself a chance to breathe and to learn other things. I do think it's good to take a break. I think it's good to take a break from constant input, and even if that is a book. If you don't want to read before you go to bed and you want to watch Love Island, or you want to put on something that is the complete opposite for your brain as reading, by all means. Because without that, you get stuck in a monotony. And I just feel like that makes reading feel boring. And I do feel like reading slumps help me read outside of my comfort zone. So reading Lena Dunham's memoir, that was something that is not in my usual repertoire of books. I'm a lit fic, you know, weird girl lit kind of reader, and I used to love the romantasy. I love fantasy. Romance and romantasy have really fallen off for me, just because I haven't found one that I like in a long time. But I kind of fell into that weird girl lit fic kind of weirdness, and I love a lot of folk horror and just horror novels in general, really getting into like body horror. So I think that could just be because fall is coming up. I'm getting ready for Halloween. July 5th, I'm ready. I'm done. I think that the reading slump that I had really pushed me into reading a book outside of my genre. And of course, I was always going to pick up Lena Dunham's book, and I always knew I was going to read it because I just wanted to hear what she had to say. But the genre is so out of my comfort zone that it literally pushed me out of my reading slump, because I devoured that book. It was like a memoir written like fiction. It was a memoir with an antagonist. I can't express to you how much that book just really impacted me in a way where I was just like, I love creative women. I'm so envious of that talent, and I think I admire it so much. Next time that you feel like, oh, I would just rather do anything but pick up this book, then just don't pick it up. Go against what you think you should do, because at that point you're just conforming to a routine and you're doing it out of familiarity. Find something else to do, switch it up. The next thing I want to learn how to do is needlepoint. That's my next craft, and I'm going to teach myself how to needlepoint. And am I going to read a bunch of books while I'm trying to needlepoint? No. But I could switch to audiobooks if I still wanted to get some reading in. So then maybe I find a really good audiobook that I really like, and then I start reading more from that author that I found on audio that I like. Going onto the audiobook train, audiobooks can make the book feel different. The way that you read things, you can read in a tone that the narrator, when you listen to it, doesn't have. So I do think that they can be interpreted differently based on how you consume the book. And sometimes I prefer certain books in audio format. Like, oh, that was a kind of a painful read, but it was a quick listen. And I just think I also think that I reframe them. When I'm listening to a book, I'm more so feeling like this is a podcast, and then I can put it on while I do something else. So I can put it on while I'm knitting or crocheting or whatever, and it just changes the whole experience. In that same vein, you can read two things together. I did this with Moby Dick. Have the book open in front of you, but have it on audiobook as well. And that helps immensely with enjoying the reading, especially if you're having trouble with the text. If it's challenging or outside of what you're used to reading, if you listen to it while you have it on the page in front of you, it helps so much. And then you know what? That might send you into a reading slump after that, because that's what Moby Dick kind of did for me a little bit. I read that whole thing and I got to the end and I was just like, okay, I like really don't want to look at words anymore on a page. Like, I just want to play a video game. I just want to play some Animal Crossing. I just want to go for a walk. Like, I just want to do anything else than sit here and look at words on a page. And I've noticed too, what helps me to not feel so burnt out all the time is to switch up how I read things. So sometimes I'll look at words on an actual physical page, but then sometimes I just need to switch to an ebook, because I've noticed when I put it on my iPad and I set the settings to continuous scrolling, and I have this motion of scrolling up while I read, it feels like I'm scrolling the way that I would on TikTok or Instagram or wherever it is. So that helps a lot too. That's the way I used to read fan fiction back in the day on Wattpad. I used to read exclusively on my iPhone 4 or my iPod Touch before that, and I would scroll and scroll and scroll continuously until the end. I read thousands of pages that way, and I don't even realize how many pages I'm reading. So on my ebooks, I will turn off the page count so I don't know where I am in the book, unless I know, like, obviously what chapter I'm in. But if I do it like the way I used to read fan fiction, I will crush books like no one's business. So I think that's also a way to avoid a reading slump if you're not really wanting to fall into one. Just switch up the input. Sometimes you just want to look at a screen. It's 2026, that's just how we are. But you know, sometimes that's what it takes. But yeah, and I also don't be afraid of a reading slump. I love doing other things. And I just feel like there's so much pressure to read a whole bunch of books, especially if you're just in the book community and you see these people with their curated Instagrams and their TikTok pages of, you know, read this book with me and all these things, or how I annotate and all these things, and everything is so aesthetically pleasing and people are getting a lot of views and likes and engagement, and you just want to be a part of the community so bad, but you just don't feel like you can even keep up, because that's totally fine. You don't have to. I also don't believe that a lot of people who are doing these book reviews where it's like, how are you reading this quickly? Secret, they're not. A lot of them get sponsored by Amazon or wherever to do book reviews, and people will come out with these book reviews and they haven't even read the whole book. So don't put pressure on yourself if you feel like you're falling into a reading slump, or if you're in a reading slump and you're like, I'm trying everything I can do to get out of this reading slump. It's okay. You don't need to rush out of it. That's when you get into the habit of, oh, I'm in this reading slump, I'm going to do everything I can to get out of it. And then you get out of it, you read a book that you might not even really enjoy, and then you just fall right back in it. And then you're going to start hating reading. And I think that happens to a lot of people. And I'm curious to see how the trend of reading will go. We had this huge rise of the romantasy genre, people getting movie deals, TV shows. It's getting huge. But then I do feel like it's starting to fall off, because we had so many people get so excited over romantasy, and now what is it? Sports romance? But how much can you really do that? Because it feels a little limited. And I'm curious to see how the trends end up with the rise and fall of trending genres within book talk and booktube, and just reading and how it is presented and received and digested on the internet. I think that has a huge impact on how we perceive reading and reading as a performance, and how we should be reading, when in reality you should be reading however you want to read. At the risk of being very ranty, I will conclude with this. If you feel like you're in a reading slump and you're dying to get out of it, and you just want to enjoy a book so badly but you can't, and you're feeling that kind of guilt over it, I want you to let go of it as much as you can. I know it's a big ask, but let go of it. Go find something else that you enjoy doing, and you never know, you might find your most favorite hobby that you've ever done. And if you're reading academically, I am so sorry. You cannot not read those books, because I did that once and it was a really bad idea. I would love to discuss this more. I feel like it could be an hours long conversation, there are so many nuances and so many rabbit holes you can go down with what happens when you just let yourself not read as a reader. Do you still feel like you can call yourself a reader? I think if you read at all, you're a reader. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it if you want to. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What's the worst reading slump you've ever experienced? I literally didn't read for like months and months on end last year. And I still ended up with, I don't even remember how many books I read last year. But I still ended up with like 50 or so something, which is like kind of a lot for me sometimes. Because I came off of a year where I was like really getting into like the reading habit. So you can still make great reading progress if that's your goal. And if not, if you want to read one book a year, do it. You're still a reader. You read the book, so you're a reader. So I'll leave you with this. It's okay to be in a reading slump. Reading slump is not a negative term. That is just what we live in a society. That's what society has placed on you, to believe that reading slumps are bad, because we are in a go, go, go mindset in this culture currently, and never rest and never enjoy your time, and we need to work and we need to be miserable all the time, and you don't. You can enjoy what you do in your free time, you can read for fun, and you can not read when you don't want to, and that's not negative. And we don't need to be crying about, I'm in a reading slump, oh, my life, this is so horrible, I want to get out of it, I want to read, I want to blah, blah, blah. It's okay. Sit with it, digest it, find something else to do, maybe try a new genre. You got to switch it up somehow. And you know what? If you do, and you fall back into your reading slump and you just hated that even more, then give it some more time. Find something else to do. Try roller skating. Try singing a song. Maybe you will find something just random that you never thought you'd enjoy. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop anything you have in the comments. I will see you in my next one.